Okay, hello. So, MD2 Hard is out. I spent about 6 hours just testing and trying stuff. And I've come to the conclusion that it's either ego spam or high rolls. There's nothing else that can help you with the MD2 Hard 5th floor. Yep. The enemies just roll such a ridiculously high number that you're only going to get hopeless, 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 or struggling. Because of that, I went ahead and just looked around for very good units to help you clear the dungeon. Surprisingly, there's only like 5 characters that are actually pretty good. So, let me dump all of these characters first. Alright, you can stay, you don't stay, you can come, and you can come. Okay. So, if you own any of these 4 units, they are not the base IDs, you should just bring them because they bring very high rolly boosts into the game. For Ting Tang, you have a 30 roll here. For both of them, for W Dawn, skill tree, you have I think about 31, right? 31 in total. If you add everything together, it's 6 per coin. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 31. Yeah, 31, 31, and then here it's about 25. Yeah, 25. So both of them, either of them are really good. So if you have either, you bring them. Rabbit is, Rabbit. He has this. So you have coin pile plus 2, each one is plus 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 23. Yeah, 23 should do it. 23 should be able to win quite a bit, but you can still lose. 23 is not very high compared to these two. So actually you can still lose with Rabbit, but with Volley Sack you can get plus 1 attack power, which might be able to squeeze you a win usually. Yeah, so Rabbit is still good, but not as reliable in beating some of these really stupidly high coins. And then of course we got Ninclair's skill tree, which rolls at 30 if you can somehow get no coins. Yep. So yeah, ultimately these 3 here are the most reliable ways. Sorry, these 4 because W Dawn is hidden here. And then there's Rabbit, who comes quite close, but honestly not as high rolly as these 3 right here. These 4, sorry. Okay, so those are the IDs that I think will help you a lot in the Mirror Dungeon 2 Hard. And then let's talk about the egos. So let me just dump all of these egos away first. Sorry, all these IDs away. Okay. So the IDs that have really good egos are Yisang, Dawn, Ishmael, Rodion, Ryoshu. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Masalt, and Ryoshu. Everyone else does not have an ego that can go that high. So let's look at this ego. Dimension Shredder. Dimension Shredder rolls a 38. Really, really good to win some of these hard clashes. Other Blossom Star on Ishmael. 19 plus 22. Really, really good. For Rodion, it's Rhyme Shank. I think that comes the closest. Mine's up Taiwan, take note, so it's not as high as it should be. But around this range is already pretty damn decent. What is card is also not bad because it's 15 plus 13, so 28 is pretty okay to win some of these clashes as well. Besides that, for Dawn, it is Fluid Sack. Because Fluid Sack rolls pretty damn high with a 38. Yeah. Lifetime Steal unfortunately does not come close. 25. 25 can still lose to quite a lot of things. For Ryoshu, it's actually both of them. This one rolls 30, and this one rolls 32, but this one is not even thread spin, so it's supposed to be a bit higher. I think it's supposed to be like 36 or 38, somewhere around there. Yeah. So yeah, these two have pretty reliable ways of beating the really hard clashes in the dungeon. And then we have Masalt. So Masalt, he has the recently released ego, Kapot, which lets him do 35. And 35 has so far reliably cleared everything. If you're thinking that Chain of Others could help you in some of the boss runs, I tried, and against the Bull, it didn't do shit. So I just kind of didn't bother using Chain of Others, but Chain of Others can help you on any boss that is not the Bull, in my opinion, because the Bull has some ridiculously high coins. The Brass Bull is insane. But besides that, I think every other boss character is pretty manageable with Chain of Others. But I would still recommend you bring Kaput, because Kaput is free anyway, so you might as well. And Kaput does pretty sizable amounts of damage. And my favorite team comp is actually running the Liu Massault with Liu Ishmael. Yep, so ultimately these 6 characters here have egos that are able to beat most enemies, especially because the coinage is so high with the +8 coin power. It's ridiculous. The floor 5 buff is +1 base power, +2 final power, and +5 coin power, something like that. Some ridiculous numbers. Yeah, so +8 makes them really busted. So you will need some busted ass egos to also beat them up. So yep, these 6 characters here will have an ego that will help you a lot, so you can arrange your teams based on this. So my favorite version of this team comp here is I would run my Liu Massault with my Liu Ishmael, because these two generate Wrath, and when they generate the Wrath, right, they feed each other the egos that they need to use. So Other Blossom Star needs Wrath, Lust, Envy. Envy is actually quite a common element, so the main one is actually Wrath and Lust. So for Massault, he generates Lust and Wrath, and his ego also requires Sloth, Lust, Wrath. So he himself generates everything, and she can't really generate Sloth, so it's mostly coming from him, which is why you want someone else here who can also generate Sloth. So maybe, for example, you can do Sun Shower. For example, you can do W Corp Dawn, who also has a Sloth on skill 1. You can do Chef Ryoshu for more Wrath generation, more Envy generation, more Lust generation, up to you. And yeah, especially since Wrath will be your most common resource, especially if you want to use 4th Match Flame, because 4th Match Flame uses Wrath and Pride. Yep. Well, if you want to use this one, then you need a lot of Envy, and like I said, Envy is a pretty common element. Then there's Lust and Wrath as well. Yeah. So these characters here, like some of my favorite characters to use. For Rodion, I actually in my testing run where I was trying to budget everything as much as possible, I use the I think I use one of these Rodions, or I use Rose Banner, one of them. Yeah. So basically, these characters here are probably what you want to run if you are still having trouble. If you're F2P and you want to do it with as minimum investment as possible, then I would recommend you try to get the ego first. Because if you build for that ego, you can win the final part. But if you don't have an ego for that final part, then you better have one of the IDs that I mentioned before that can actually win a clash. Okay. So besides that, for the ego tier list, I'm changing quite a lot of things. First off, ego resource generation goes to super ultra SSS tier because of the sheer amount of egos you need to do. Faith, which is an okay. Let me go and show you what Faith looks like, in case you have never seen Faith before. Okay, Faith is the headband. This one. So Faith, when you use a skill that flips plus coins, the ally's SP applies as the maximum value at the start of the next turn. What this essentially means, right, is that when you ego, you do 95% chance to hits, no matter what, which is why it's a tier 4. And with how important egos are in MD2 Hard, this becomes really good to consistently always get hits whenever you ego, no matter what. So this ego gift has risen to this tier 4 in my heart. Yeah, so definitely want to prioritize that. And then as per usual, just anything that generates ego resources. I don't care what it is. You need every little bit of ego resource you can get. So just take anything. This fragment, child within a flask, coffee and cranes, perversion. Just take all of them if you see them. Like these are the super top priority stuff. And anything else that can increase your final power as well, such as Sun Shower, also really helps you a lot in winning those clashes. And of course, Rusty Commemorative Coin is the most busted item now. I'm actually going to pump it all the way up to its own tier. It's so incredibly strong, especially since you need so many egos for this dungeon. Yep. So I think that is all I'll be changing. I will update the list soon in another video, but I think that will be all for me today. Yeah. Okay. So, to summarize, So to summarize, MD2 Hard is really quite hard, challenging at least, near the end of the dungeon. For F2 players, you can very easily get to floor 3 and then leave. You will still get the same amount of lunacy as clearing the dungeon, so you don't have to worry too much about losing out. The only thing you really lose out is the Battle Pass EXP, which you just compensate by doing more runs of MD2 normal. Yeah, so really not much of a problem. Oh yes, actually, now that I mention it, I also want to talk about the mirror dungeon starter buffs. So for the starter buffs, right, I've thought about it and I realized that you should not beeline for these ending nodes here, because they don't actually give you a lot of value. The ones that you really want is this one. After winning a combat encounter, you heal 10% of max HP. This is essentially the same as Homeward. Homeward is an ego gift that heals you for 12% every time you go for a combat encounter. So that will help you. This will help you to maintain your health, so you don't have to bring fluid sac or whatever nonsense to heal yourself. Yeah. So this is a very important perk to try and get. Another important perk to try and get here is the starting cost plus 50 here and gaining 10 cost after winning a combat encounter. These are really good to help you shore up your costs. Ego resource for all affinities plus 1, and this one ego resource for affinities of starting IDs plus 1. So these two help you to ego at the start of a battle. Honestly, I wouldn't even consider getting to here. I'd rather you just RNG neutral fight enemies until you get 45 SP. It takes only about 2 battles. You might lose a few clashes, but it's fine, that's normal. Yeah, so the main ones I recommend people to try and rush for is to get the cost stuff, and then to get the health, the healing one here, and then after that you go for damage. Yeah, I think damage is a bit more important here. Yeah, don't care about the offense level, you just want to get this damage percent here. Yep. And then lastly, the speed over here is also pretty nice. There's a damage taken minus 10%, which is not bad. And then there's speed plus 1 and speed plus 1. The speed plus 1s are really good when you have characters like Rhino Assault or Rabbit Heathcliff, where you want to make them go fast so you can trigger their passives without using an ego, for example. Oh, I have to use body sec to trigger? Nah, actually there's a small chance now because I increased my move speed, so I'm able to get it. But I think I'll put this last. So in terms of order, right, I would rush to here, this third node here, and then I would rush to here, this fourth node here, and then I would rush to here, and then lastly I would rush to here. I don't even need to prioritize this one, honestly. Like, damage taken less is fine, but getting the speed is also quite snowbally, so I would rush for this. Besides that, I think in terms of that, the perk tree, I got nothing else to say. And am I done? Yeah, I think I'm done. Yep. So that's it. I've shown you guys the sinners and the egos that will help you with the mirror dungeon. I've shown you guys the ego gifts that will help you with the dungeon, and I've shown you guys the perks that you should prioritize for mirror dungeon. If you all have any conflicting opinions or whatever, please let me know. I love discovering new things you guys have discovered. I also don't have a lot of time to just go and do all this testing to make sure I cover all my bases. So I'm just posting this and then hoping that you guys can help to clarify and stuff. Yep. Okay, so that's it for this video. Hope you guys are having fun with the Mirror Dungeon 2 Hard. I find it quite a nice challenge. I'm still limit testing. I'm trying to keep running the dungeon and trying to see if I die because of something. So far, the brass bull is the only one that killed me because I was not prepared. But I'm trying to get it again so I can see if the budget team can still win. So besides that, yeah, nothing much else. Yep. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy your MD2. Yep. Goodbye.